topic of today's short talk was creating conditions for success. But what is success? What does success mean in today's very, very fast-paced VUCA world? Now, this is a quote from Papa CJ, comedian, author, executive coach, that very often we are chasing a definition of success which is defined by someone else. We kind of try and say that, look, he's doing so well. He's got a fabulous job, making mints of money. You don't know, maybe he or she is leading a miserable life inside out. So what Papa CJ mentioned in that interview is to focus more on things that really matter. One of those is family. Generally, everything starts with a story we tell ourselves about ourselves. So I think we need to make a conscious effort and bring purpose into the core of that narrative. In a school ecosystem, we generally tend to define success by student attainment scores, number of students going out overseas for higher education. I'm aware many schools will be receiving awards today. So by the number of awards received by the school. However, successful children leaving the institution after completing their academic years need to be a good co-worker, need to have perseverance, able to solve problems, think critically, knowledge, skills, what Malcolm said. So I think the first step towards walking on the road towards success is to define it and generate a language of success along with some indicators. So if, let's say, in my school, if I want children to be responsible, and that according to me is what defines success, then we need to define how does that look like in reality, because that's when the expectation will match. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to touch base on 4 points. The first one is open communication and having a shared vision. It is very, very important to maintain transparency in communication and share the organizational vision as a leader with every single employee. So this is a very simple framework which we follow in our skills. So we follow this we call the Jaipuria leadership framework, where we cover 6 domains which are being listed over here, and follow it up with the definitive KRAs, setting expectations for a certain academic year, so that the leaders know why and what of school functioning. We also encourage communication, continuous communication amongst teachers themselves and with students, and reflecting in the process. So in order to achieve that, what we have done is we have provided this reflection journal to all our 2,500 plus educators. If you're wondering, 2,500 educators in one school? No, we are a chain of 50 plus schools. So that's all our educators with this reflection journal, so that they capture year-long initiative and best practices and contribute towards their own learning. We also understand and acknowledge the importance of well-being, not only for our students, but also for our teachers. Celebrating the International SEL Day, which typically happens on the 2nd Friday in the month of March. In 2024, it's going to happen on the 8th of March. Or let's say organizing training sessions on social and emotional learning, integrating aspects of well-being in the curriculum. These are all part of our regular work. We have also partnered with an organization in the UK called Personal Life Skills. That's their framework, 22 life skills, which they have mapped, including IB, with all the major international curricula, including CBSE as well. So these 22 social emotional life skills are across 6 skill sets, being realistic, communication, open-mindedness, problem solving, resilience, and self-control. So open communication and shared vision, according to me, is one domain highlighting success. The second one I want to touch base upon is stakeholder collaboration and peer support. I'm sure many of us are aware of the phenomenal work of John Hattie, and he talks about collective teacher efficacy. All teachers present over here, or likewise the ones who are in the teaching profession, want their children to improve. So collective teacher efficacy is the collective belief of teachers in their ability to positively affect students. A Cohen D-score of an effect size of 1.57 is strongly correlated with student achievement in the work of Hattie. So when the teachers collaborate, these are the things which happen. So they manage to have high levels of job satisfaction and capability, the openness to give and receive feedback, and also helps in actively managing one's own personal well-being. So we need to focus on collective teacher efficacy. Teachers need to collaborate and communicate with each other. While school leader and teachers are crucial pillars contributing towards the growth of a student, we cannot forget or undermine the role parents play in this ecosystem. There are several researches that show that active parents contribute significantly towards child development than passive parents. I want to throw light on Joyce Epstein's framework of 6 types of parent involvement. I just quote from Joyce Epstein. Schools have choices. There are 2 common approaches to involving families in schools and in their children's education. One approach emphasizes conflict and views the school as a battleground. The conditions and relationships in this kind of environment guarantee power struggles and disharmony. The other approach emphasizes partnership and views the school as a homeland. The conditions and relationships in this kind of environment and allows energies to be directed towards activities that foster student learning and environment and development. Even when conflicts rage, however, peace must be restored sooner or later, and the parents in children's education must work together. So parenting, communicating, volunteering, learning at home, decision making, and collaborating with the community are 6 types of parent involvement as highlighted by Joyce Epstein. It is also urged under this domain that teachers and other influencers of student development think more like a coach than a know-all superior. Now, what does a coach do? They look at the performance, here in this case of a child, with the intent of making them better at something they love to do. Second, Malcolm emphasized on skills. So focus on skills and give feedback that is timely and specific. Communicate what the child is doing right as much as what needs to be improved upon. And don't look into a bucket laundry list. Focus on 1 or 2 incidents at a time for the child to improve. And most important, I think, take time to talk about what the child's strengths are. In our school ecosystem, we follow something called a review hexagon. So review hexagon is, what should you keep doing? What should you do more? What should you try and do less? What new things should you try? What should you completely stop doing? And share more about your best practices. So we do this review hexagon with our teachers, with our students. This is the second component which I wanted to focus on: stakeholder collaboration and peer support. Third is sustainability and world-wise learning. Now, sustainability, as we all know, is no longer a fad word. It has to be at the core of whatever we are doing. In our system of schools, we follow a value system called SPICE. SPICE is an acronym where S stands for sustainability, P for possibility, I for integrity, C for collaboration, and E for empathy. So in a world when we are 8 billion plus people, so the agenda for sustainable development 2030 needs to be put forward and taken very, very seriously. I'm personally very, very inspired by the work of Kate Raworth on donut economics, and this is the donut. I'll just take 30 seconds to explain what it is, but it's a fantastic read. I'll urge all educators to please read this book. Some of the things are there on the website as well of Kate Raworth's. Now, if you see the light green part, which is the donut part, that's the safe and just space for humanity. And it has got two boundaries, one inner boundary of social foundation and an outer boundary of ecological ceiling. If there is a shortfall of social foundation, which in some cases there are, like water, food, health, education, income and work, peace and justice, all of these, gender equality, then we are not in the safe space anymore. Similarly, if there is an overshoot of the ecological ceiling, again, in some of the cases we have already done that with regards to ozone layer depletion, climate change, ocean acidification, chemical pollution, biodiversity loss, air pollution. Again, we are not in the safe space. So maintaining this balance, irrespective of all the development that we manage, is key, critical. Madam share a lot of insights into how to bring about. He mentioned about the kind of curriculum followed in the IB schools. So, what I would like to call it is make learning intellectually appealing, connected to the real world, getting the experiences count of the child. So this is just one of these samples which we follow in our schools, where the real world challenges are being picked up, and these are called interdisciplinary plan, where we focus to provide transdisciplinary education into our curriculum. So this is again one of the aspects of success criteria. So we must do everything in our control to make learning experiences more contextual and bring joy into the learning. Photograph from about 100 years back. That's Rabindranath Tagore sitting beside the man in front of the board in Shantiniketan in West Bengal. And this is where Rabindranath Tagore had to say about joyful learning. I'll not read out, I'll just pause for a moment over here and allow you to read. So he calls out for the child to become more close to nature. That is something which we have kind of avoided in the present times. We must go back to the real connect rather than keeping ourselves into the cocoon. The last which I want to talk about is continuous monitoring and measurement. One significant step towards transforming education is first monitoring and measuring things that matter. I will indeed take an example of a TEDx talk by Bill Gates titled "Teachers Need Real Feedback," in which Bill Gates says that the most common feedback received by teachers is satisfactory, with no clear-cut guidance as to how to further improve. So in our school ecosystem, this is again another work of Hattie, is about measuring impact in whatever you are doing. So we do tens and tens of interventions in our schools. If we are not keeping in mind that how do we measure impact of all the things and just think of giving a tick box into what just for the enjoyment of the children, then I think we need to reflect and think deep. So with regards to enhanced quality, this is something which we are supporting all our educators as a reflective exercise, as a need analysis, which would then feed onto the continuous professional development of the teachers. So we do a 360-degree evaluation of self-evaluation, peer evaluation. There's a proper supervisor evaluation, a classroom observation, and one-on-one interaction with the teachers, which ultimately revolves to need analysis towards effective CPD. And this work has been inspired from the work done by the National Professional Standards of Teachers document published by National Council of Teacher Education, NCTA. Now, as students become adults, they have to have an ability to self-monitor their behavior. This independence is not something that is necessarily fostered in most schools. Now, there are multiple ways a student can do this. One of the ways is to kind of define rubrics or give them guidance of rubric, not only about their behaviors, but even for the curricular areas which they are focusing on. This is just a sample from the Marzano teacher evaluation model, which we have modified and use it in our schools. So I'm sure every school has got a lot of formative assessment being done. But what are those rubrics? Most importantly, are the students aware of what the teacher expects out of them? So rubrics, and that too a progressive rubric, helps for the students to become independent of their own learning. So these were the 4 points. I want to wrap up by mentioning last 2 things. We need to remember that we are human beings and not human doings. This is just a small difference between what do we focus, what happens when we focus human doings, and rather what we should be doing as human beings. Rather than running non-stop in finishing one activity after the other, we need to take pause, focus on processes, reflection, and I think we will get more impact and more success. Lastly, I want to share some of the visions of one of our schools in Bhaktinagar, Lucknow. From 1992, the school is operational, so 31 years. And this is how we define a lot of spiritual, conscious transformation that we try to inculcate amongst the children in that school. Last, this is my last slide. I want to quote one of my favorite authors, Simon Sinek. This is from his latest book called The Infinite Game. And I'm going to read out the prologue of that book. A signpost stands at a fork in the road. Pointing in one direction, the sign says victory. Pointing in another direction, the sign says fulfillment. We must pick a direction. Which one will we choose? If we choose the path to victory, the goal is to win. We will experience the thrill of competition as we rush toward the finish line. Crowds gather to cheer for us, and then it's over. And everyone will win. Hopefully, we can do it again. If we choose the path to fulfillment, the journey will be long. There will be times in which we must watch our step. There will be times we can stop to enjoy the view. We keep going, we keep going. Crowds gather to join us on the journey. And when our lives are over, those who joined us on the path to fulfillment will keep going without us and inspire others to join them too. Thank you.